Imagine waking up one morning to find that giant star, which usually rises in the east, coming up from the exact opposite direction, the west. This is no ordinary natural phenomenon. It's not an astronomical glitch either. This is the absolute moment when the spirit of time is surrendered for humanity, and the doors of repentance are sealed, never to be opened again. For thousands of years, giant secrets have been hidden in ancient texts, spoken only in whispers. But when they finally happen, they will shake the world to its core. You are now standing at the very place where the laws of nature fail, logic falls silent, and the final curtain of history, as we know it, is drawn. When the Dabbat al-Ard, the beast of the earth, emerges, what will it say to mankind? How will that dark smoke covering the sky, the Dukhan, bury the world into absolute silence? And most importantly, what will humanity do when faced with the greatest deception it has ever seen, the Dajjal? Today, we are leaving metaphors, minor signs, and ordinary predictions behind. Today, we are descending into the dark and intriguing depths of the major signs, the ones that will shift the earth, shake the skies, and declare the grand finale of the universe. If you're ready, let's begin. Because by the time this video ends, you will never look at the world the same way again. The emergence of Hazrat Mahdi. According to Islamic sources, this era coincides with a time when the world is filled with oppression, justice has withered away, and humanity is desperately searching for a way out. Chaos among societies has escalated, trust is shattered, and people have entered a state of anticipation for a savior. During this process, massive political turmoil erupts, particularly within the Islamic world. Narrations state that after the death of a prominent leader, severe disputes will arise, power struggles will intensify, and an authority vacuum will form. This chaotic environment is precisely what sets the stage, accelerating the acceptance of Hazrat Mahdi. It is narrated that Hazrat Mahdi's name will be Muhammad, and his father's name will be Abdullah. He is recognized to come from the lineage of the Prophet, meaning the al-Bayt. However, his emergence will not be pretentious or sudden. On the contrary, he will initially refuse to accept this duty and hold himself back. The people who recognize him as the Mahdi will insist, and through unfolding events, he will be compelled to take on this responsibility. According to narrations, allegiance will be pledged to him in Mecca, right next to the Kaaba between the Rukn and the Maqam Ibrahim. This moment is the turning point where he begins to be openly recognized. While this acceptance starts within a limited circle, it spreads rapidly, reaching vast masses of people. With his leadership, the most prominent change will be the restoration of justice. The world, which was previously filled with tyranny, will transition into an order ruled by equity during his era. Equality among people will rise, and injustices will diminish. There will also be a remarkable balance and abundance in the economy. Narrations state that people will reach such a level of prosperity that they won't even be able to find anyone eligible to receive charity. However, This era is not one of total tranquility. The power standing against Hazrat Mahdi, particularly tyrannical regimes and interest-driven structures, will wage a war against him. Throughout this process, various conflicts will erupt. Narrations speak of extraordinary events, such as the destruction of an army sent to stop the Mahdi, swallowed by the and as the incident of fate. During this time, the region of Balad al-Sham, Greater Syria, becomes a vital center. It will be the focal point of developments, where the foundation for the great events to follow is laid. While there are different narrations regarding how long Hazrat Mahdi will rule, the most widely accepted view is that his reign will last approximately 7 years. And then comes one of the most critical moments of this entire journey. During the era of the Mahdi, Jesus Isa descends to earth. According to the traditions, Jesus will act alongside the Mahdi in a powerful scene. When the time for prayer comes, Hazrat Mahdi will lead as the Imam, and Jesus will pray behind him. This is described as the ultimate testament to the Mahdi's leadership. The emergence of Hazrat Mahdi is not just a period of establishing order. It is also the preparation phase for an even greater trial yet to come. Because right after the balance he restores, the greatest deception in human history will emerge: the Dajjal. Ultimately, the appearance of the Mahdi is one of the most critical starting points of the end times, the restoration of order at the peak of chaos. But also a harbinger that an even greater test is approaching. The emergence of the Dajjal. Following the environment of relative order and justice established by the Mahdi, humanity suddenly faced with a much more staggering and earth-shattering trial. This is not merely a war or a political crisis. It is an unparalleled deception that targets faith, perception, and truth itself, the Dajjal. In Islamic narrations, the Dajjal is described as a figure with an immense power to deceive and an extraordinary capacity for influence. His greatest weapon is not brute force, but illusion and persuasion. He distorts reality, blurring the lines between truth and falsehood. He shows people such things that the boundary between what they see and what they believe begins to fade. He is also described with striking physical characteristics. One of the most well-known descriptions is that he is blind in one eye. It is said that the word kafir, disbeliever, is inscribed on his forehead, a sign that will not be seen by everyone, but only recognized by those with strong faith. This detail highlights that his trial requires not just physical sight, but spiritual discernment. The emergence of the Dajjal is not sudden. It is a step-by-step process. First, his name and influence spread. Then he appears in person, quickly bringing vast masses under his spell. Narrations suggest he will emerge from the east, and his influence will grow rapidly. One of the most striking aspects of his reign is his power to manipulate human perception. Traditions tell us that what he presents to people as paradise is actually hell, and what he presents as hell is, in reality, salvation. This reveals just how deep of a mental and spiritual trial the fitna of the Dajjal truly is. Furthermore, it is narrated that the Dajjal will have control over hardships like drought and famine, using hunger to discipline people and force them into submission. While he offers temporary prosperity to those who believe in him, he tests those who oppose him with severe hardships. This forces many people to make an agonizing choice between faith and worldly interest. During this period, a vast majority of people will follow him, especially those with weak faith, those who prioritize their own interests, and those who do not question reality will fall under his influence more easily. Therefore, the era of the Dajjal is not just an external threat, but a time when the inner world of human beings is tested to its absolute core. Yet, this dark process does not advance completely unchecked. Hazrat Mahdi and his followers continue to resist the Dajjal. And the end of this great deception comes, once again, through divine intervention. According to narrations, Jesus descends to earth once more. This descent is no ordinary event. Islamic sources describe that he will descend in Damascus, near the eastern minaret of the Umayyad Mosque, at the time of the dawn prayer, wearing lightly yellowish garments, with his hands resting on the wings of two angels. This imagery emphasizes both the spiritual and the shattering reality of the event. When he descends, Hazrat Mahdi and his followers are already on earth. When the time for prayer comes, the Mahdi is leading. Jesus is invited to lead the prayer ... but he declines and prays behind the Mahdi instead. This moment carries a powerful message. This struggle does not belong to just one individual. It is the collective struggle of those who unite around the ultimate truth. With the descent of Jesus, the balance of power shifts. The grand illusion established by the Dajjal begins to shatter, because his greatest power was ruling people through deception. But with the arrival of Jesus, that curtain is torn apart. Then comes the inevitable confrontation. Narrations state that the moment the Dajjal senses the presence of Jesus, he begins to retreat, because he is now facing the ultimate representative of truth. This retreat ends near the gate of Lod in Palestine. And there, Jesus eliminates the Dajjal. This moment is not just the destruction of an enemy. It is the end of the greatest deception, the complete lifting of the veil between truth and falsehood. With the death of the Dajjal, the order under his influence collapses. People awaken from the illusion they have lived in for so long. Truth becomes visible once again. Under the leadership of Jesus, justice, peace, and balance are restored to the earth. Narrations tell us that during this era, wars will come to an end, animosities will cease, abundance and prosperity will flourish, and a true environment of peace will form among humanity. However, this period of tranquility does not last forever, because the process of the end times is not yet complete. The descent of Jesus and the destruction of the Dajjal marks the end of humanity's greatest deception, but it is also the beginning of a fresh, entirely different trial. Because right after this momentous event, another force will emerge, one that is far more difficult to contain: Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog. When the fitna of the Dajjal ends with the arrival of Jesus, silence and justice reign over the earth for a brief period. Humanity begins to taste peace once more. Yet, this peace is only a temporary interlude before the final grand trial of the end times. During this period, Yajuj and Majuj, who are described as being held behind the Great Barrier built by Dukhan, are released by Allah's permission. Their emergence is no ordinary movement of a population. Narrations describe this event as the spreading of an incredibly massive, uncontrollable, and destructive multitude across the globe. Their sheer numbers create a chaos so vast that it disrupts the entire order of every place they pass through. As Yajuj and Majuj swarm across the earth, societies are turned upside down. Natural resources are rapidly depleted, humanity plunges into a state of immense fear and helplessness. And even Jesus and the believers seek protection by taking refuge in Allah, rather than engaging in direct combat. Narrations state that during this time, believers retreat to the mountains and safe zones, living under a severe state of hardship and siege. The world is virtually dragged into a total, all-encompassing chaos. Against this massive fitna, human strength is simply not enough. Salvation comes, once again, directly through divine intervention. According to the accounts, Allah sends a type of small worm or a microscopic plague that attacks their necks and bodies. As a result of this plague, this colossal multitude is neutralized and wiped out in a very short time. The earth is plunged back into a profound silence. Following this, other narrations describe how birds and natural elements come into play to cleanse the remains left behind. Thus, the world is completely purified from their taint. With the destruction of Yajuj and Majuj, the era of the Great Fitna comes to an end, the earth begins to heal and recover, and a period of peace and abundance continues during the lifetime of Jesus. This event marks the end of the largest mass destruction and chaos in the journey toward the final hour. Now, all that remains are the remaining signs and the ultimate approach of Judgment Day. This is neither a storm nor an ordinary blanket of fog. This is that massive event, named after a dedicated chapter in the Holy Quran, which will plunge the entire earth into darkness for 40 days, the smoke. The Dukhan is a dense, pitch-black smoke that descends from the heavens, completely filling the space between the sky and the earth. It is a smoke so thick that it will block the light of the sun, make the stars vanish, and trap the world in a dim, chilling haze. All the technology of the modern world will not be enough to see past this fog. The most shattering characteristic of this smoke is that it does not affect everyone in the same way. According to descriptions in the prophetic traditions, the Dukhan acts almost like a selective filter. For the believers, this smoke will only cause a sensation similar to a mild cold or a sniffle. Believers will get through this period a bit fatigued, but in peace. For the disbelievers, this is where the horror begins. For the deniers of truth, this smoke turns into a suffocating torment. The smoke will penetrate their bodies, pressuring them from within so intensely that it will feel as though it is bursting out of their ears, noses, and every single pore. Breathing will become nearly impossible. Every single breath will turn into fire. This process will last for exactly 40 days and 40 nights. The world will experience the longest night it has ever seen. People will lose their direction, and the sense of time will fade away. When the Dukhan finally dissipates, the world will no longer be the old world. Because this smoke is not just a change in the atmosphere. It is a cleansing, a wake-up call preparing hearts for the next monumental trial. The Dukhan is, in essence, a warning. It is a divine seal reminding humanity that every breath they take is a blessing. When this smoke clears, those who remain will realize that nothing will ever be the same again, and that the curtain is finally drawing to a permanent close. As the suffocating silence of the Dukhan clears away, the earth witnesses a shattering miracle, this time, coming not from the heavens, but from its deepest depths. This is neither a natural phenomenon nor a human entity. This is a divine seal, the sharpest distinction of the end. Dabbat, al-Ard, the beast of the earth. Throughout human history, mankind has always looked to the skies. We always expected the miracle to come from above. But this time, the miracle will rise from beneath our feet, from the deepest depths of the earth. That magnificent entity foretold in the Holy Quran, which turns all laws of nature upside down, is taking the stage. Dabbat, al-Ard. According to narrations, this colossal creature will emerge with a massive earthquake from Mount Safa in Mecca, or from one of the most sacred spots on earth. It is no ordinary living being. It possesses an unprecedented, majestic appearance that carves the sheer magnitude of that moment into the heart of anyone who sees it. Dabbat, al-Ard will bring with it two ancient relics, the staff of Moses and the seal of Solomon. Its duty is not merely to appear, but to proclaim a final judgment. Illumination with the staff. When it touches the faces of the believers with the staff of Moses, their faces will gleam with light, and the faith in their hearts will reflect upon their countenance. Sealing with the stamp. With the seal of Solomon, it will stab the noses of the disbelievers. Their denial will turn into a darkening, indelible mark upon their faces. The most shocking feature separating it from all other living creatures is that it speaks to humans. On that day, Dabbat, al-Ard will stand before humanity and cry out that shattering truth to their faces. Mankind did not truly believe in our signs. This speech is the final word that leaves no room for doubt, declaring that the cosmic trial is officially over. with the emergence of Dabbat, al-Ard, all gray areas on Earth vanish. From that moment on, exactly who a person is and which side they stand on can be read directly from their faces. People doing their shopping or walking down the street will look at one another and clearly see who is a believer and who is a denier. This is the moment when the ranks are finalized, the masks fall, and there is absolutely nowhere left to hide. Throughout human history, the sun has risen from the east every single morning as a harbinger of hope and a new day. Yet, a morning is coming when that giant source of light will choose a direction completely contrary to its thousands of years old journey. That morning, the sun will rise from the west. According to narrations in the prophetic traditions, the sun will prostrate beneath the throne at night, but it will not receive the usual command of continue on your path. Instead, it will be told, return to where you came from. That day, the night will seem endless. As people wait for the morning, the darkness will stretch on, engulfing the entire world in fear and anxiety. And finally, after that endless night, the sun will rise not from its usual place, but from the western horizon, blazing across a pitch-black sky. This event is not just an astronomical phenomenon, it is a spiritual tribunal. As Islamic scholars unanimously agree, the exact moment the sun rises from the west, the gate of repentance is sealed forever. The faith of someone who had not believed until that moment, or the remorse of someone wishing to turn back from their sins, will no longer be accepted. Because now, the gate that hidden reality has transformed into a truth witnessed by every eye. The curtain has risen, and the secret of the trial is broken. Seeing the sun in this state, all people on earth will fall into prostration before the terrifying sight, crying out, "We believe." But as the Holy Quran phrases it, no good will it do to a soul to believe then, if it had not believed before or earned through its faith some good. All debates across the globe will be cut like a knife. Everyone will be left entirely alone with their own destiny. The sun will rise from the west, ascend to the middle of the sky, and then set in the west once again. From that day forward, the world is a place that has entered its ultimate countdown. The heart of nature is now beating in reverse, and the system is hurtling toward that grand moment when it will stop completely. Every year, thousands of earthquakes hit the earth, the ground shakes, and it passes. However, 3 specific moments are coming where the tremors will be unlike anything we had ever known. With a roar rising from the deepest core of the earth, the ground will literally tear in two. These 3 massive sinkholes, referred to in Islamic literature as the Kusuf al-Thalatha, the 3 landslides, are the harshest physical signs of the end. The first major collapse will take place in the east. This doesn't merely mean buildings falling down. It means an entire geography sinking into the depths of the earth. Hadith sources indicate that this event will follow a period of immense corruption or tyranny. A chasm so profound will open that the ancient lands of the east will vanish inside this colossal rift. This is the earth-shattering response to the pride and silence of the east up to that moment. Then, all eyes will turn to the west, The second major collapse will strike the Western geography, the epicenter of the modern world, technology, and fortresses once deemed unshakable. The Earth will no longer be able to bear what has been entrusted to it, and a massive landmass will suddenly be wiped from the face of the globe. This collapse will prove to the entire world just how helpless the impenetrable walls built by mankind are in the face of divine power. The third and most striking collapse will occur in the Arabian Peninsula, the very heart of religions and revelation. In this geography, where sacred relics are kept, the land will be split by a deep abyss. This final major landslide is the ultimate declaration that there is nowhere left to run, and that even every spot considered safe must bow to the divine command. The Prophet Muhammad explicitly counted these 3 great landslides among the 10 major signs of the Day of Judgment. These collapses are not just geographical disasters. They are the Earth's rebellion against societal decay, tyranny, and faithlessness. The ground is vomiting its heavy burden, and the world is reshaping its very form before transitioning into a new realm. When these 3 massive chasms open, the Earth will no longer retain its old shape. As the ground shatters into pieces, the real question left for those remaining will be, when the Earth is slipping from beneath our feet, what branch will we hold on to? The sun rose from the opposite direction, the Earth split open, smoke engulfed the world. And finally, the absolute moment when everything ends has arrived. Every sign told up to this point was meant to warn humanity, but this final one is the physical proof that there is nowhere left to escape. A colossal fire rising from the deepest depths of Yemen, from the crater of Aden, painting the sky in crimson. This is nothing like the forest fires or volcanic eruptions we know. As described in the prophetic traditions, this fire will erupt from a valley near the city of Aden in Yemen, advancing toward the north with an unstoppable force, consuming everything in its path. Yet, the purpose of this fire is not to destroy, but to hurt. The fire drives humanity toward a single direction, the gathering grounds of Mahshar. As people flee from this colossal wall of flames, the fire herds them from behind like a shepherd. Wherever humanity goes, the fire follows. Wherever people stop, the fire stops. All people fleeing from the 4 corners of the earth, from the west and from the east, are gathered at a single epicenter, driven by the sheer force of this fire. This is such a massive exile, such a helpless march, that technology, power, or wealth will be of absolutely no use that day. The fire strips mankind of their final refuge on earth, gathering them into that great plain where the eternal judgment will take place, the lands of Beit al-Maqdis around Jerusalem, for the ultimate assembly. This fire is the final breath of worldly life. As it sweeps and cleanses the earth, mankind finally understands that the physical world has ended, and the hour of reckoning has begun. There is no longer a city, a home, or a property left on earth. There are only millions of marching souls, and behind them, the colossal, divine flame turning the world to ash. And at that very moment, when the ashes of the fire blanket the earth, we will have reached the absolute end of everything we have ever known. Cities will plunge into silence, properties will be left abandoned, and all titles will lose their meaning. These major signs we spoke of today are not just the harbingers of an end. They are a calling for human beings to confront their own truth. When the curtain falls and the spirit of time is surrendered, the only thing left will be what you have carried in your provision bag. Before the skies begin to shake and the sun rises from the west, the real question we must ask is this: what kind of echo will our final footprint on earth leave in eternity? Make your preparations, because in this grand screenplay, none of us are mere spectators. Every single one of us is actively part of the final act. Until we meet on our next journey through the depths of history and the future. Take good care of yourselves and look after your truth. Until the next episode, where we will meet in the depths of history and the future, take care of yourselves. Don't forget to leave your footprint in the comments and subscribe to join us on this journey. Goodbye.